What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. And it's officially Survivor season again because this past week they posted the Survivor cast list. So we officially have the 18 people on Survivor season 38, Edge of Extinction. And that's who we're going to be analyzing today. So my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa, and we're actually only going to be analyzing 14 of our 18 people today because 4 of them are returnees, and we made another video talking about the returnees and like what we were interested or not interested in seeing from them. So we have a playlist on our channel for stuff related to season 38. So if you find that playlist, that video will be on the playlist, and you can hear our opinions of the returnees on there. So we're only going to be covering the 14 new people in this video.
Yeah, so Aubrey, Joe, Kelly Wentworth, and David, you can check out in our other videos in that playlist. Like, disclaimer for all of these cast assessments, we're just using what they post on Survivor Wiki. ET Canada has posted some of the videos, but Survivor on CBS has not posted their official, videos that they post for all of the contestants on the show. So we don't know these people, no hard feelings, anything like that. We're just doing our first judgments to talk about the cast as a whole, talk about the two tribes, who we think will be first off of the season, and who we think the winner will be based on very little knowledge. So it's really just gut reactions and stuff like that.
Yeah, so basically everything that Rachel said, we complained last season about how like it was so difficult to do this without like a lot of videos, just because I feel like what people write and who people are like in front of a camera are generally very different. So I am going to bet that some of these impressions that we're getting on them based like just on their questionnaire and the like stuff that we have seen is going to be very, very, very wrong. So
Or it could be very right. Some people, they just don't look like they're going to win Survivor, and then lo and behold,
they don't win Survivor.
They're one of the first 3 people voted out, like we're predicting. So it can go either way. February 20th is the premiere of Survivor season 38. So really exciting, less than 3 weeks away. Looking at the cast as a whole, just in general, we have the yellow tribe, which is Kama, and then we have the blue tribe, which is Mana or Mana, however you accent these words. But just looking at everything, it's like there's not that much diversity, maybe better with the age diversity this season than maybe previous seasons, hint, hint. But that, I don't know, the race thing, there's not that much diversity. Location, little better, but like still a lot of California people. And the age, you have some older people, but like not that many.
Yeah, I think the whole diversity thing kind of bothers me just because it's like white people are gonna get hella sunburned. Like it just happens. And then it's like I just don't see why they cast the same people over and over. Because like there are some people where it's like I swear I've seen you before. We don't know where, but you know.
And then I'm like, oh, wait, we literally are having a Southern person archetype now. Like a Donathan Nick reboot is coming back this season. You have the like firefighter dudes, you have the attractive people that want to play like Ozzy or Malcolm or Joe. So like the hot guy who's good at challenges. And then you have the nerdy girls are back. And it's like, what are these archetypes that like just keep coming up every single season? You may have a potential mom character, which I hope these older ladies aren't pushed into the mom role kind of thing, because that then they like always get bad screen time because everyone thinks, oh, the mom has to be like friendly and nice. So when they try to play the game, they get screwed over by that. And then you have the older guys who there's never like a dad role when it's an older dude. So that's interesting also. But it's also just like, why are these archetypes in everything?
I think it's like if one person does well, then they try to cast their archetype again so that like people keep viewing. Like I feel like the nerdy girl archetype only like started being super popular after Aubrey because then she was like a pretty popular person on Survivor, and then they started casting more of the like nerdy girl type, and I'm just like,
Yeah, it's like
we
Aubrey, Hannah, Gabby. I don't know. So it's like interesting how one person can popularize this whole entire archetype of characters that they want to get cast. So maybe we do need more archetypes because it helps certain people get on the show. But if you're going to have someone, like, why not another super nerd guy like Cochran, I guess, is popular, maybe less so. But then last season, we see like that kind of stuff is popular. So you just keep bringing back the Joe Anglums of the world, literally, and his doppelgangers. So, like, first he needs to shave that mustache, though.
Yeah, I think that one of the things is too about these archetypes, like we like the person in that archetype, not necessarily the archetype. Like I like Aubrey as a person, but I don't necessarily like the nerdy girl archetype just because I feel like the longer it goes on where they're casting for this one type of person, the more like stereotypical they become.
Yeah, it like almost becomes like a production scripted TV show where the storylines are sort of predictable. Like, okay, the nerdy girl will go in, she's crying on the first day, like Aubrey, and then growth story. She has this storyline of growth, character development. She's strong, wins challenges, makes her own moves. And then that repeats itself in every other season where this kind of female character is going into. And then it's like, am I watching scripted television right now? Or it's like, how are they all just acting the same way?
Yeah, like I think it's also bad because some of these people have obviously watched Survivor before, and so it's like they kind of know what their archetype is supposed to do. So then it becomes even more towards like scripted stuff because they're like, this is what the person that I'm supposed to be does.
Yeah, so I think overall with the cast, I would have liked to see more race diversity. We don't really have much of that unless all of the people are just very white passing. But yeah, age diversity a little better. At least everyone in the show isn't between the age of 20 and 29, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we will definitely see.
Yeah, so starting with the yellow tribe, which is Kama, we have Aubrey from Korong, Game Changers, and Edge of Extinction. Her name is first alphabetically, but we're skipping her. Like we said, go watch our playlist video of that. So the first actual person we're talking about is Aurora. She is 32, a defense lawyer from Florida. She does not look 32 at all. She looks so young, and I'm like, damn, she's so fit. Like, she doesn't even look like 32 years old. She seems like a super tough cookie from her like Survivor Wiki page. She likes rock climbing, adventure racing. She has had life experience, she's older than the other girls this season, and she's gone through the foster care system. So I think she's an interesting person like that you would want to talk to and hear her life story.
Yeah, I think the one thing about her that I think would make her maybe not a great Survivor contestant was that she said that she was like super, super introverted. And like Rachel and I have done like reasons we wouldn't be good at Survivor. And one of the reasons that I gave was like I'm a super introvert and like I can't even spend like 5 hours around people without being like, oh my God, leave me alone. So I feel like living on an island for 24 hours a day with people that you might not like slash care about would be difficult.
Yeah, people in the ET Canada video comment section are relating her to Angelina. They're saying like, oh, she's a better version of Angelina, more self-aware kind of thing. So that could potentially be good for Aurora. Angelina made final 3. So if Aurora has the smarts for it, and she does have a cool name, like we got the Julia duo here, and it's like one of them's gonna have to go because you can never have a name duplicate, and especially on the same tribe from the start, not going to work. So no one's going to have her name. She says she's like Tyson, Sierra, and Michaela, and I thought that was interesting because I love Tyson, but some people on here are like the basic Boston Rob Parvati. She went unique. So I like Aurora. I hope she goes far. She seems really tough and has like depth to her personality, whereas I think other people this season don't as much.
Yeah, I think also she said she's like Sierra because Sierra has foot in her mouth moments, and I'm like, that might not be a super great thing to say, just because, you don't want to be putting your foot in your mouth in Survivor.
Yeah, so I guess it'll be interesting because she says the introverted, sometimes the wording, whatever, if it comes off as like quirky, funny, or if it comes off as offensive to people. But yeah, I don't know. I like her, so I'm hoping she goes far. Depending on her personality, I guess, like I think she can make a merge.
Yeah, I think that she could definitely make the merge, but I think that she might also be one of those people that ends up going too hard too soon. But we'll see.
Yeah, I guess she could be one of those people. I think the super fans or like proclaimed super fans could be the ones that would be like an early boot because they go off too hard at the beginning. I think she seems more like chill rather than some of the people on the cast who like just seem a little bit on edge already. And I'm like, dude, you're not there yet. And you're already too paranoid.
Yeah, it's like, take a deep breath.
Yeah. So next we have Eric, who is 34, a firefighter from California. He's outdoorsy as well, similar to Aurora. He is into backpacking, basketball, and woodworking. He's a dad, so he has a child with autism. And he says he's like Tony and he wants to be on all of the time in the game. So I think that'd be interesting to see if he can pull off the Tony kind of thing. Yeah.
I think it's interesting too because, like, I think Jeff has said before that the reason that we don't see a lot of people like Tony is just because it's like exhausting to play like Tony does. Because when you're on all the time, like, where do you get that energy from? Just because it's always like go, 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 go. Especially because like Tony's not like a small guy, like he has muscles, and Eric is not a small guy either. So it's like it's already difficult for you because like muscle burns more resting calories than fat, and then B, if you're trying to be on all the time, then you like never get to rest, and then I'm stressed out thinking about it, like
Yeah.
for him.
That's why it's like interesting to see if anyone is going to be able to successfully replicate it. I feel like they've tried casting Tony archetypes in the past, just like bald dudes. Like, if you look back at seasons, you can see people who are trying to be like Tony, but fall short in that aspect. So it could be interesting to see if Eric is able to pull it off or if he's just one of the people who come off in the game too hard day one, find an idol, or like get caught looking for an idol day one, and then you have that sort of target on your back that people think you're playing too hard from the start, or if he's able to lay low, but he's always thinking about the game. And he seems like a really likable dude, like a dad, everything like that. I would want to be his friend. So he seems like he could be in a good alliance, and especially because like the age differences are less sort of this season. So hopefully he's not like, oh, the sore thumb as like a 34-year-old man, because we have like a 19-year-old and a lot of 23 to 25-year-old girls on this season.
Yeah, I think again talking about like comparing him to Tony, I feel like a lot of like people who say they want to be like Tony don't actually end up playing the game like Tony. So I do think that since there is like a little bit more age diversity, hopefully he'll be better off and not just be voted out because he's old. Which is stupid because 35 or 34, I guess, is not old.
Yeah, because we have like 3 people who are 46. Yeah. on this season. Rick is also 33, so they're in the same age. Aurora, like we said, was 33, and Dan is 38. So we have some of that, and then the 346-year-olds could have a nice I'm the old person, even though 46 isn't even old. So it's like there's got the 20-year age difference from like that they're picking from as the pool of contestants.
Yeah.
So
I
moving
think
on,
it's so weird that like 46 is old when there was a 71-year-old on the show.
Yeah, so moving on, we have Gavin, who is 23 from Tennessee. He's a YMCA director. Initially, just looking at him, I'm like, is he a Donathan Nick archetype coming on? He looks just smaller physically in his photo. His engagement story is cute, which is cute. But I don't know. He's just so millennial. He's like, I like Fortnite. I like Xbox. I need a mirror. I hate slow texters. And he wants to be like Keith Nail, being Southern. And then he talks about Joe Anglim in his Survivor Wiki bio. So it seems interesting. I wonder if he'll be able to fit into the group or not. He's a super fan also, so I feel like he won't be good at hiding it. He's going to be one of those people that come off too strong. And I don't know. He doesn't give me good vibes.
Yeah, I agree with the not good vibes thing. Just because, like, I don't think that his engagement story is cute. I think it's a little creepy because he's just like, she's lucky, I'm a catch. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, I also just think it's weird when guys repetitively ask girls out after they say no, because that's just like, yikes. But he seemed like kind of like he was trying too hard in the answers that he gave. Like he like listed his hobbies and then he was like, I may need to rethink my life based on my hobbies. And
Yeah.
like, well, there, you're not special. But and I also like noticed that he wanted to be like Keith, and I was like, Keith is a very interesting person to say you want to be like. I feel like I always get a little confused when people say they want to be like Survivor players who didn't win the game. Just
Or
because,
even
like,
like be close to winning, you know? Some like Rob, Parvati, yes, even though those are really basic answers. You're saying Keith, what has Keith done? Play 2 times? And yes, he's a fan favorite. And like, yes, he has done some things. He's an older guy and has won lots of challenges. But was he, I guess you could argue maybe he had potential to win the game, but he never made that final. Sari, another good example, like, yes, but she, like, I don't know. I think there's a difference between Sari and Keith, even though they both got out like at the same time.
yeah, I think there's also something to be said for like lasting impact on the game. Because, like, I love Keith, but like when you look at Keith as a player, I don't think he's really done anything like for the game of Survivor. Whereas Sari, I feel like proved a lot of things about Survivor. Like I feel like she was the first person to really popularize the idea that like, oh, a couch potato can come play and stuff like that. And I feel like she did more for the overall game, if that makes sense. So I understand picking non-winners if they're at least like important to the overall game of Survivor.
No, yeah, I agree. If they like change the evolution, as Rob would say, kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. With Gavin, though, he just looks squirrely. I don't know. It depends. I want to hear his voice because based on his like photo, I feel like his voice could be annoying sounding. Which is that
Yeah,
mean? But I don't know.
yeah. I sometimes get that impression from photos as well. So I'm interested to see that.
Yeah, and he just was like people thinking he's still in high school. I could see it. People might think he's like 18 or something, but because like it maybe not with that tattoo, but like maybe people think he's lying about his age.
I mean, that's valid of them though. Like he doesn't look like he's old. So don't know what he's complaining about.
So, yeah, if he tells his engagement story, then that'll legitimize his age, unless people think he's lying about that too, and then he just becomes the major squirrely character that's like a super liar. So, I don't know. I don't necessarily see him getting that far in the show.
Yeah, I don't either. Just because I feel like the Jonathan and the Nick, like even if he's the same archetype, like they were both like, you know, like they were sweet, and I feel like he could not do sweet.
Yeah, he looks snaky, connivorous, sneaky, whatever. Donathan, I thought he was going home early when he did the boot list for that season. So he proved everyone wrong and he made it super far. So, Nick could have almost been the first one voted out of his season and he won. So maybe same thing with Gavin, but I don't necessarily see him making it past merge. I could see one of the first 3 to 5 boots being him.
I agree with that, but I also thought that Jonathan was gonna go super early, so maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, so next, Joe Anglim's on this tribe. So the two returners on the yellow tribe are Joe and Aubrey. Joe was in Worlds Apart, Cambodia, and now Edge of Extinction. So I don't know. Everyone's like, Joe, third time's the charm. You're going to win it all, kind of thing. The first time he didn't make it to the family visit and he wanted to, and he talked about his dad. Second time he made it to the family visit. So third time, what else does he have to do is win because he's basically checked out all the other boxes for Survivor. My thing is, since they're bringing Joe back for a third time, like, ugh, but he needs to do something more strategically. Yes, it is something that like you're so athletically strong that your tribe doesn't go to tribal council until the merge. Yes, that's great gameplay, but once you hit the merge, it's the same thing that happens for him every single season. He loses a few immunity challenges and then he goes home. I want to see Joe, if he's going to go far in this season, which people think he will, or potentially win the season. I want to see Joe strategize and not just ride on the immunity wins every single episode, because it's like, okay, you won immunity. Yes, you're safe, but like, do something.
Yeah, it's like you shouldn't start making relationships as soon as you need those relationships. Like you should start doing that like early on so that when you do need those people, it's not like you're just using them, if that makes sense. And I feel like building relationships, like it's outwit, outplay, outlast, and it's like he can last people, but I'm not sure if he could outwit or outplay anyone unless he changes his game.
Yeah, so we want to see him strategize more and to shave that mustache. I don't know who let him go out there with that gross mustache, but it just looks really bad. So next we have Julia, and then after Julia, we're going to talk about Julie. So Julia is a 24 medical assistant from Maryland. So yay, Alyssa and I are from Maryland. I think her name's Julia Carter, Alyssa, and wasn't that our English teacher's name in high school? I'm like totally triggered.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I tried not to think about that, but then you made me think about it.
I'm like, oh, great, a Julia Carter name similarity. So Julia seems very millennial as well, similar to Gavin's answers, Fortnite, Xbox crap. Julia's like she likes traveling, shopping, and eating. That's so millennial. That's something like seventh graders would say now, I think. So I don't know about that, but first in the family to graduate college. So that's an amazing feat. She says she wants to be like Jeremy. And I think that's interesting. We've had multiple people on this cast say they want to be like Jeremy. So I also think it's interesting too. More representation with winners. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because like Jeremy was like a good winner too, and I think we've complained about how like people don't say that they want to be like Jeremy enough, just because like he he played, I think, closest to the perfect game of Survivor you can play, because like he didn't just get to the end because of like winning immunity challenges or anything. He was like, so I'm
And
really glad that like people say they want to be like Jeremy.
No, I agree. And like the whole meat shield thing, like I feel like he sort of popularized it because nowadays you hear all the guys, they're like, okay, I want to keep big dudes around. Before it's like we need to vote the big guys out. But like if they're helping you in your alliance, then you sort of might want to keep them around for a little bit longer. But yeah, I like Jeremy as a winner too. Julia, she's got to be smart. She's in like the medical field. I'm sure she can talk with the other the 19-year-old Keith who is pre-med, but they're on separate tribes. But I'm hoping like they can make it far enough to become like buddies or whatever, because that would be interesting. But Julie and Julia are on the same tribe, so I think one has got to go. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I could see them wanting to keep Ron or Jul that was awkward. Julie over Julia in a weird way.
Yeah, I could see them wanting to keep Julie. Honestly, I'm just hoping that like one of them starts going by their last name, and then we can totally avoid the whole like double name thing. Cause when one person goes by their last name, I feel like they're able to stay on the name competition isn't as bad. You feel me?
Yeah, or go so you don't So, yes. I guess do you have anything to say about Julia?
Um, I thought that her pet peeves were also very relatable and millennial. Because she was like, I hate being ignored and people who share everything on social media. And I was like, that is a very millennial thing.
So
I
yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see how well she can relate to the other people on her tribe, because 23, 24, that is on the younger end. Yeah. Her Victoria's 23 and then Gavin's 23, then everyone else is like a 10-year age difference from the 23, 24-year-old. So it might be more difficult because as a 24-year-old, how are you relating to like Aurora, 32, Eric, 34, the older people like Ron, 46? So I think that'll be interesting because maybe the younger people are at a disadvantage because they can't relate because they're too millennial and weird.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like normally I feel like we don't see the younger people at a disadvantage, but I also think that it's like I feel like older people try harder to relate to younger people than vice versa, if that makes sense. Like older people are always interested, I think, in like being like, well, what do you want to do with your life and stuff like that because they've been there, whereas it's harder for like younger people to relate up because they've never been there, I guess.
Yeah, so it will be interesting to see if like the older people form a great big alliance of like, aha, we've lived life, we have partners, we have children, we have stable jobs kind of thing. And then the three youngins are maybe left out of the group. But I think if you're working smart, like Joe and Aubrey, they've played before, you might want to bring in some of the young people as like someone you can lead along, and maybe less intelligent as one of the people who has had a lot of life and stuff like that.
Or more easily starstruck if
Yeah.
they're like one of the super fans. So
Gavin would like be all up in there. Oh my God. So next we have Julie, who is 46 from New York, or like working in New York now, but she's from Maryland, and Julia is in Maryland for her job. So they could talk about Maryland and maybe they won't want to vote each other's name people out. So she's a toy maker. I feel like Julie could potentially be a mom figure like Angie or Chrissy kind of thing. And she says she's neurotic. She has 2 children, so that's relatable. And she's waited 18 years to get on the show. So that's why I'm like, oh, that really reminds me of Chrissy.
yeah, I think it's interesting because the people she said she would like, um, Dawn is kind of like a momish figure. So I feel like she could really easily like slide into that role, which like I'm not sure I like just because I feel like she seems to be an interesting person, and I don't want that to be like stomped on.
Yeah, the whole mom figure archetype, like we said, is just sort of backwards because, like, oh, if you put yourself in the mom figure, everyone's going to be really hurt by you when you backstab them and then not want to vote for you at the end, which it's sort of biased also because it's like other people do that if they have kids and like they aren't in the mom role or dad role or whatever. And then no one's hurt by that. But if you physically like label yourself as like, I'm the house team mom, I'm have kids, I love kids, you all are my children, then people seem to get more hurt by that. So that's maybe not the best archetype to put yourself into that box of.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, there's not really the same thing for dads, which is kind of confusing, but
Yeah, so Julia, one of them's going to have to go. It will be interesting to see because like the Natalia thing last season, it seemed more obvious. With Julie and Julia, it seems a little bit less obvious. I think it really depends on like where the numbers are going to fall and if the young people come together, the three people who are under 25, and then if the old people form an old person's alliance.
I really hope that they just call themselves the Old Person's Alliance. Like,
It would just be sort of funny because, like, they're not really that old, but maybe in Survivor terms they are. So, moving on, we have Ron, who is 46 from Georgia. He is a teacher and he has the Ron Clark Academy named after him. So, self plug for his school. I feel like anyone who's watching the show, and he'll probably talk about it. I looked up the school website after reading it. So, he's probably getting some business from the TV show.
yeah, I like was looking up the cast list, and there was like an article that was like Ron Clark of the Ron Clark Academy is on Survivor, and I was like, do people actually know who this man is? So that was surprising to me. But one of the things about Ron that I was like really about was he was like, I will think about a game of Monopoly for weeks after I lose. I'm a really sore loser. And I'm like,
Oh,
yikes, man, this is the wrong game for you.
yeah, I wrote sore loser, haha, guess we'll see. Could be negative factor for him because if he's the type to brood over a loss, immunity challenge, individual, team immunity, whatever, that could be some really bad morale for the entire tribe if he's whining and pouting or blaming the loss on someone else. So if the tribe loses first immunity, and then he's like, oh, it's your fault we lost, and then won't get over that, or like just gives you side eye all the time because you messed up on the puzzle kind of thing, that would probably really rub people the wrong way. And I feel like Ron in like the school website, he's always, oh, smiley, haha. But I feel like he could have a very easy face to read. Like he just looks like he wears his heart on his sleeve, and that people, if he gave side eye or whatever, it would be like, dude, what's wrong with this dude?
Yeah, and I think also what you said about him, like maybe complaining too much, like there's a lot of people who say that, like, on their list of pet peeves is complainers. So I feel like that'll definitely be a thing for him if he keeps complaining about losing and then people don't like complainers. So I don't think that he'll get very far for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, he says he's like Spencer Bledsoe, which has its ups and its downs, I guess, depending on which version of Spencer you want to be, kind of thing. Pet peeve is smacking when people chew their gum, which I'm like, okay. I don't know. I'd be interested to see if he's a hero or a villain this season. I think if he were to be a villain, it would be interesting because he seems like a peppy, friendly, wholesome guy. Like if you run a school kind of academy kind of thing, you can't be like evil, but it would be interesting. I don't know. He looks like someone from the church and then like wholesome churches.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
I don't know. if he's a villain, I would be totally for that. Hopefully he's not a
Ooh.
villain in his real life because he's dealing with children, but like on the show, go for it.
Yeah, I would love to see him as a villain. I love a good villain.
Yeah,
Villains are my favorite.
he just looks friendly, I guess. Like, I don't know, friendly in a weird way in that his picture smile looks so fake and he looks almost creepy in his photo.
Yeah, he does. I didn't notice it until you said it, and then was like, everything was coming.
I don't know. His eyes are just too piercing, and so I wonder I want to see if he's like bad with his facial expressions.
Yeah, I think he's definitely one of those people that will be easier to tell just how far he's going, like within like the first minute of seeing him on screen.
Yeah, so last but not least on the Yellow Tribe, we have Victoria, who is 23 and from New York, and she's a waitress. Her Survivor wiki wasn't working, but on the ET Canada YouTube, they posted like the video interview with her kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
She seems smart. She read Chaos Cast's book that Chaos Cast recommended about like influencing people. And so she's going to use tips from that book. So she's done her homework on the show. So she's prepared. She just seems smart, like cute, quirky, like you want to be her friend because she just looks cool. Like I would want to be her friend because she just seems cool. Seems like she has a good personality, bubbly kind of thing. Maybe her age, that's what I wrote down. Maybe too young because 23, that's one of the youngest people on the tribe. 23 and 24 are the two youngest ages on the Yellow Tribe. So she looks young too, similar to Gavin. Like if she said she weren't 23, I would think she's like maybe 19, 20, 21.
Yeah, I think also she said that she was her college valedictorian and she likes to bring it up in conversation as much as possible. And I'm like, yikes. I don't
I
like,
wonder what college.
yeah, the fact that like she didn't say makes me think it's probably not like a super, super like well-known college, but still, I feel like people who feel the need to brag about like their like academic accomplishments kind of make me go like, whoa, like being valedictorian is cool, but it's not gonna like change my opinion of you.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting to like because she's younger and then doesn't have the life experience that like your claim to fame would probably be something you did in high school or college. Like we've seen people put in their claim to fame like, oh, I was a Division 1 student athlete kind of thing in college, or I was chess champion or whatever back in college. So I guess it's different because it seems like a lot of the older people put their parents or their children inspiring them every day or whatever. So like we're saying, with these people being young, Victoria seems very young, not that much life experience because like at least Gavin is engaged. So he can maybe relate to the older people about finding love. If Victoria has a significant other, maybe she can relate, but it seems like it's like when you're at different stages in your life, what can you relate to other people on besides talking about college?
Yeah, especially because like also college isn't a universal experience, and I feel like sometimes college students don't remember that. So it's like relating with someone about college isn't necessarily something you can do with everyone. So I'm interested in seeing how she does, just because, like you said, she is pretty young.
Yeah, but she seems cool, so I would want to be her friend. Has a good personality, it seems. So I hope she goes far because I think it would be interesting TV. I think her age, similar to like Jessica last season, it's like you're just maybe young.
Yeah, and I mean, young people have done okay in the game. Like Will did okay in the game, but I feel like they don't excel.
Yeah, so going on to the Blue Tribe, I think same similar kind of age distribution, except this tribe has the 19-year-old and 21-year-old. So the youngest person this season is 19. But starting with Chris, he is 25 from South Carolina. He's a district sales manager. Looking at his photo, I'm like, tell me why this looks straight up like Dan from last season. I'm like, what the heck? Are they cousins? Are they related? He literally looks like Dan. And then I was like, oh my God, what is happening? He's outdoorsy, likes to surf, sail, camp, outdoors stuff. And then the one turnoff, I was like, he wants to be like Malcolm, Rob, Spencer, and Ozzy. And I'm like, you are picking the four most basic men to be like.
Yeah. Earlier, you were talking about the archetype of like the hot guy who does well in challenges, and I feel like this man is like the epitome of that. Like,
It's
he's
Chris.
conventionally attractive. He says that he's good at like all of these like outdoorsy things, and I'm like, you're basically just gonna be like Malcolm or Ozzy, which is like neither of them have won the game.
Yeah, and it's like we already have Joe on this season. We don't need you can be the Joe of the blue tribe because Joe's on the yellow tribe, but I don't know. It's just he is an attractive dude and he just seems very basic though. Like he says he has depth in his ET Canada interview and then he talks about being the sales manager, working in other jobs before being a sales manager. And then I'm like, I don't know. He's cute, but like is he smart? He says he wants to play a perfect game, but like can he do that? I not sure.
Yeah, I feel like he's one of those people that might be overestimated. Like how everyone last season was like, Dan is gonna be the winner, and then he was not.
And
So
I
I
think
feel like, yeah, he won't do as well as people might think.
just being too attractive doesn't help. Like that sounds weird, but like in everyday life too, if you're someone who's like too conventionally attractive, people are intimidated by you. And I think that could be Chris. He has that nice smile. He knows he's cute. And so he might use the too flirtatious game kind of thing on everyone. And because it's an older season, like who's he going to flirt with on the tribe? I don't think Wendy will take his shit. Lauren is the only one.
Who knows?
So that's Chris. Moving on, we have a person actually named Dan. So we have the Dan lookalike and an actual Dan who's 38 from LA. He's a law student and ex-military. So I think he has a lot of depth, doing a lot in his life. He seems very confident in himself and he describes himself as confident too. But I don't know. He just seems like privileged, but privilege isn't the correct word that I'm looking for. Did he give himself a nickname in his little like testimonial? He calls himself the War Dog, and then he literally says he's like every winner that's ever played. He wants to be like Yule, Mike, Parvati, Earl, Tyson in his third season, and JT in his first season. And then I'm like, I don't know. It's like Tyson probably learned the 3 times that he was playing to have a winner game in Blood versus Water. JT won the first one and wasn't able to replicate in the others. But like, how can you just say Tyson in his third season only? Because he probably worked hard for that kind of, I don't know. I'm like, something's off about Dan.
As soon as you give yourself a nickname, I just don't trust you. Especially because the nickname is like not anything like I would understand if his nickname was like Danny or something, but his nickname is the War Dog, and then he refers to himself in the third person as the War Dog, and like that makes me so angry. Why would you do that?
It's like beast mode cowboy. Like you cannot give yourself your own nickname in any of these reality TV shows. You need to let it happen, or for someone else to nickname you, or for you to have an alliance like Philip and like fake nickname everyone. That's more acceptable. But if you go in as like, yo, dudes, call me the War Dog or call me by my last name, you just don't get that in Survivor. You need to earn that.
So I'm trying to like look at him objectively, and I feel like objectively he might do like pretty well. And Because like he seems to have a lot of experience and like a good grasp of Survivor, but I feel like he could just be really annoying.
No, like I could see it too. I'm thinking like he says he's going to bring the sex appeal that men his age haven't had in over a decade. So he just seems like I said, like cocky, privileged kind of thing. Yes, he has done a lot of it in his life, and I think he could tell his stories and be relatable on that. But I feel like he's the type of person that likes to tell his stories and not listen to others. And we're going to see the clips of like him talking about the military for 6 million years or something, or like being a law student for 6 million years. So I could see like he's similar to Peter in Brains, Brawn, Beauty,
Mm-hmm.
where the Obama looking guy and like people get rubbed the wrong way because he thinks he's so great.
Yeah, like I feel like I can see the montage of him like talking and everyone else giving the like eyes. So
Yeah.
we'll
Because if
see.
you say you're bringing sex appeal for 38-year-olds, like, that's sort of weird.
Yeah, a little.
So moving on, we have David Returner, Millennials versus Gen X, and then this season. My one thing, I think he should have waited. I don't think he should have come back for this season. Like, no, you can't ever say no to Survivor kind of thing. But like, I don't know. I just don't think this is a good time for David to waste his second chance on the show with. Like, go back on an all returnee season. A second chance is 2 season. Heroes versus Villains 2. Season 39 or 40. Why season 38 as your second go around? Because I think David could have won a season, but I don't think he's going to win this season. So don't come back.
Everything you just said is true.
Yeah. So Keith, he's 19 from North Carolina. He's pre med at Duke. Yeah, so I guess undergrad students similar to me and Alyssa, and then Lauren is also a student. So we've got some students here. I think Keith is the youngest person on this season, but he could look older than 19, I think, depending what his voice sounds like. I think he could look older than Gavin, and that's all you need.
Yeah, I think that Keith is an interesting one just because I don't know about you, but like the med students that I've met have either been like super like cool, interesting people or just like obnoxious know-it-alls. And so I've met a lot of med students or like pre-med students because I'm a biology major, and so like a lot of pre-med students are biology majors as well. And so I feel like he could either be a good med student or a bad med student, and that will like determine everything.
Yeah, he says he hates self-absorbed people, so hopefully he's one of the good pre-med students and isn't super cocky like I'm going to be a doctor and earn XYZ figures after my 10 years of residency. Um, but I think a lot of people could get on his nerves this season as being people who are self-absorbed, people who may have been given everything to them in their life kind of thing. But I really hope Keith and Julia, the medical assistant girl, could become friends. I want to see that friendship form because they're both in like that kind of field. I just want to see that happen. So they both need to make it to a tribe swap or whatever so they can become on the same tribe and be friends. That's like fan fiction.
Yeah, and then Keith was one of the other people who said that he likes Jeremy and wants to be like Jeremy, and I already gave my whole like gushing speech about how much I love Jeremy. So I was happy with that.
Yeah, I think Keith seems really likable. I would want to be friends with Keith. I'm rooting for him. I'm just like, where's the diversity on this cast, though? He says he's the youngest Black castaway to date, so that's a feat in itself. And so, if he makes it really far too, like that'd be awesome. Winner? I don't think so. Maybe because of the age kind of thing, but like that's the always thing. Any young person, we're going to say their age.
Yeah, but I did say that he seems super sweet and like he could go far.
Yeah, he seems like such a cool kid. Like, I would want to be his friend. If maybe I'd be interested to see if he lies about his age because I think he could pull off a little bit older than he is if he doesn't want to be named like, oh, the youngest person on there. And You never know with Survivor nowadays. They're always casting like the token young person. Keith is 19 last season with Jessica, and then we have all these young kids coming back. And so maybe you're just skeptical on the show of any person who says they're like 23. They're actually 18. So it'd be interesting to see if people lie about their age.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, like, if he does pretend to be like a med student and then the person who's a medical assistant starts like asking him questions, he might have to be like, not actually a med student. Sorry, I lied.
Yeah, wait till I take the MCAT. So next we have Kelly from San Juan del Sur, Cambodia, and now this season we're gonna skip her, but I'm rooting for Kelly. I hope she makes it the furthest out of the 4 returners. So there's my part on Kelly.
Yes, I agree.
So Lauren, she's 21 from Texas, also a student. Lauren, we're like literally the same age, Alyssa and I and Lauren, like 2021, and she looks old as hell. Like I think she could pass for 25 or 26 if she wanted to. And like she's so pretty too. And I'm like, what the heck? How does she look so good? And she's literally our age.
Yeah, neither of us could pass as 25, so.
No, yeah, people still think I'm like 14. So I'm like, I'm jealous of Lauren. So Lauren's a student athlete. She's soccer at her Texas school. So she's athletic. So she'll probably be good at challenges. She wants to be like Parvati and Kelly Wentworth, which is interesting because Kelly Wentworth is on her tribe. Lauren seems strong, but I think just her age could play a factor into it. And I don't know, maybe she's too attractive, similar to Chris, and people feel intimidated by them because, like, when you like this season, it's not like, oh, all the young Baywatch people are all huddled together and all the less attractive people are in their group. It's a lot more older people who, like, might not do the hot people versus not people kind of tribe division.
Yeah, I think that is interesting, and it might disadvantage some people who are like conventionally attractive, but I don't care. The one thing about Lauren is her hobbies are so relatable. It's sleeping, eating, and watching Netflix. And I'm like, me too. Me too. But also, I'm not sure how that'll work on Survivor.
See, it's the millennial thing. All of these people who are the 21 to 23 range are all saying the most millennial things. So it's like, how are you going to relate to the person who's 46 and has 2 or 3 kids? Like, if all you do all day is go to class and watch Netflix recommendations for the dude's kids, like, what are you going to talk about for 24 hours, 7 days a week?
Or just talk about your Netflix shows as if they actually happen to you. Like you can talk about, I don't know, Bake Off. I learned a lot about baking watching Bake Off, so I could talk about baking. I don't know.
Yeah, just lie about your whole personal life and be like, oh my God, like my best friend got attacked and like we had to go to this big trial or whatever. Like, just make up your life as TV shows. Compulsive lying.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what Survivor is anyway, so.
Yeah, so next we have Reem, who's 46 from Virginia and in sales. She said neighborhood security is her hobby. And I was like, what? So she seems like more so than the first mom figure and Julie, who's 46. Reem, who's also 46. They have a weird thing with 46-year-olds, apparently. Seems like the stereotypical mom figure who says neighborhood security is your hobby unless, like, you're a crazy tiger mom that wants all the children to, like, not be infected by the other children or creepers coming into your neighborhood. It's probably a gated neighborhood, too.
Yeah, especially because like a lot of her answers were like very like short, kind of snappy, and I was like, she also said that she wanted to be like Rudy because he doesn't care about anything, and I was like, that's not really an attitude that I feel like you can have going into your first season of Survivor. Just because if you're like, I don't give a fork, then I feel like people aren't gonna like you.
Yeah, all of her answers, but just didn't really get much from her answers. I don't know. She's sort of scary. Like, as like, if you were maybe one of the people on there, she just looks like she has a big presence, and then I'd feel sort of scared.
Yeah, that's valid. I feel like you said, her answers aren't that like elaborative. So
Yeah,
who knows
so
what that
I don't
means.
know. I could honestly see her being an early boot kind of thing, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
So next we have Rick, who is 33 from Georgia. He's a news anchor. He's from Virginia, but he lives in Georgia, so he could relate to like the people who are from Virginia, like Reem, or there's other people from Georgia. So some nice state diversity, I guess. Rick looks like very nerdy, introverted in his photo, but then he says he's a news anchor, so I guess he can't be like that super nerdy. But then he says his pet peeve is people not using coasters. So I'm like, how is this dude like a bubbly, extroverted news anchor if he, I don't know, something's not adding up to me.
He also said that he wants to be like Cochran, so I feel like he's like leaning more towards the nerd. Just because I feel like you don't have to be like super bubbly to be a news anchor. Like he could be one of those news anchors that's just like always like saying the news. You
Yeah,
know?
like you read the weather or you read the script or whatever, and then that's your job.
His claim to fame was when he did a news story about a cat being stuck in a tree. So
Yeah, it was sort of funny. Like, haha, you talked about saving the cat in the tree. It relates to your job. But I think if you're trying to say these jokes on day one, hour one, people aren't going to get your sense of humor and it might fall flat and then it's just really awkward.
yeah, yeah. So I hope that he does okay because
Yeah,
he
he
seems
seems
like a
friendly.
fun guy, but I'm also like, I don't think he's gonna do okay.
He seems like a big teddy bear, like super friendly, but maybe the not most socially inept person, but maybe we're just reading his photo and his answer is super wrong and he's like a total he'll make it super far. So either way.
Like we said, we can't always tell just from uh, a photo and some answers. We try to extrapolate and sometimes
Yeah, so the last person on this 18-person cast is Wendy. She's 25 from California, and she's a small business owner. She was also in the preview from last season for this season, so that must be semi-important. Like we said last season, literally most of the people on the preview made the merge, like Angelina, all of them. And then Natalie was the only person who was in that little preview but didn't make the merge, but she's still a huge character. So Wendy being in the little preview thing is important, I think. She's outdoorsy, like swimming and rock climbing. She wants to be like Sandra and Ty. I could see it. I think she seems like cute and quirky, but from her like interviews and stuff, she just talks really fast. She seems super excited and just like too excited to be out there, and maybe that could be her downfall.
yeah, she seems interesting.
So,
She said that she still has a stuffed animal that she is debating bringing with her on the island, and I'm like, okay. Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see how far she gets because, like you said, the people who are like on the thing normally go pretty far. So I don't know.
but yeah, she seems like cute and fun, but maybe a little too cute and too fun that like it rubs people the wrong way because she just seems so like on, outgoing, like a squirrel or a chipmunk or something. I don't know. It just seems too much, too fast.
Yeah. So I feel like she'll kind of be like the Energizer Bunny, where by the end of it, people just want to like punch her.
Yeah, so This was our cast assessment for the 18 people on season 38 of Survivor. Next time, we'll either be doing a boot list, so everyone from first place to last place, where we think people will land, or we'll do our tricks and twists video of things that are happening this season. So yeah, let us know in the comments below what you think of this cast. Who do you think the winner is going to be? Who do you think the first boot is going to be? Who's your fan favorite? Who do you hate? Some good questions there. But yeah.
Yeah, so do all of that with commenting, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.